Flaviverses. Flaviverses is the genus are often separated by mosquitoes. They cause illness like Zika, West Nile, dengue fever, and yellow fever. Other proxy verses, pox verses. Verses is the genus Arthropoxvirus, causes blistering rashes. Mpox and smallpox are arthropoxviruses. Hepatitis viruses. Though they do not all belong to the same family or genus, hepatitis viruses all infect our liver. Hepatitis A, hepatitis B, and hepatitis C are the most common. Retroviruses. Retroviruses are RNA viruses that use special protein to make DNA. The virus then inserts its DNA into your cells. Read the viral DNA as if they were its own instructions. HIV and humans, T lymphotropic virus 1 are retroviruses. Oncoviruses. Oncoviruses are viruses that can cause cancer. Viruses that have been linked to specific cancer include HPV, Epstein-Barr, HIV, hepatitis B and C, HTLV1, human herpes 8. Satellite viruses. Satellite viruses cannot reproduce without other helpers. Viruses. Most satellite viruses are found in plants, bacteriophage. Also just called phage. Bacteriophage or phage viruses are viruses that specially infect bacteria. Scientists, scientists are studying bacteriophage therapy as a potential way to treat bacterial infections that do not respond to antibodies. Function. How do viruses get into your body? Usually, viruses enter our body through a mucous membrane. These include our eyes, nose, mouth, penis, vagina, and anus. Some viruses get in through a break in our skin or from a bite from a mosquito or tick. How do viruses work? Viruses have several steps to infecting cells and reproducing. They include attachment, entry, replication, assembly, release. Attachment and entry. Viruses can get inside of cell in three ways. Receptor binding. Cells have receptors on the outside that can receive signal from proteins in our body. Think of them like doors. Some viruses trick cells into thinking they should be allowed inside, so the cell let them in the door. Direct fusion. Some viruses attach directly to host cell to get inside. Bacteriophage inject their genetic material into bacterial cells. The entire virus does not need to get inside. Replication, assembly, and release. Once the virus or its genetic material is inside of a cell, it causes either a lytic cycle or lysogenic cycle to reproduce. Some are as both. Lytic cycle. The virus causes the host cell's machinery to make more copies of itself. Pieces of virus assembly, wrapping up the genetic material in the capsid. Viruses make many copies of themselves. This way, eventually, there are so many copies of viruses inside the cell that it bursts. Those viruses can now go and infect more cells. Lysogenic cycle. Some viruses have a more mordant, so silent phase. They get inside cell and then wait. Instead of getting up, shoot, shop of cook in your kitchen right away. It's as if they put their recipe into your body. Recipe book without your knowing it. The cells do not realize the verses in 3 and continue to reproduce as they normally would. Each new copy of the cell also have a copy of verses in it. Certain triggers can cause those cells to burst, spreading viral particles into our body that can infect other cells. Triggers could include stress, chemicals, signal, or temperature changes.